What is happening, Shelter family? It is Pastor Jay here for your Wednesday morning, April 15th, 6 at 6. I hope that you still are plugging into these, sharing them if you find value in them, and hopefully applying them to your heart and as some of a redirect early in the morning. I found something really interesting for us to kind of go over this week, and it came out of Matthew chapter 16. And this is Jesus's words. I don't know if this ever kind of spark something in you like it did for me, but it's interesting what Jesus is asking here. This is out of Matthew chapter 16. In verse 13, it says, "When Jesus came to the region of Caesarea Philippi, he asked his disciples, 'Who do people say the Son of Man is?' 'Well,' they replied, 'some say John the Baptist, some say Elijah, and others say Jeremiah or one of the prophets.' Then he asked them, 'But who do you say I am?' Simon Peter answered this, 'You are the Messiah, the Son of the living God.' Jesus replied, 'You are blessed, Simon, son of John, because my Father in heaven has revealed this to you. You did not learn this from any human being.'" I wanted just to address this for a moment because I felt it was very interesting for us in our world today, which continues to be divided over an epidemic. Now that's brought into political and financial and everything. Now we're going back to being divided than where we were 3 weeks ago when we were all in the same boat. And I think it's really interesting that Jesus here, who was a perfect being, right? The only perfect man to walk the earth, he's actually asking his disciples, those closest to him, hey, what do people think about me? How do they perceive me? He actually cared how he was perceived. And I got to thinking that if Jesus, Son of God, God in man form, coming to the earth, actually was concerned about how other people perceived him, I guess it gives us some credence to actually think about that in ourselves. And so I would ask you this morning is, who do people say that you and I are? When I say you and I would say Christians. Who would they say the Christian world as a whole? Do we care? Do you care? And should we care, right? I did a little bit of research on this, just real quick thing here, where I looked at this poll of about 1,000 people in a report that I read out of a book. It said this, that 89% of people had a friend that was a Christ follower. So 89% of the 1,000, so 890 people had a friend that was a Christ follower. 87% of the people that knew a friend that was a Christian considered that friend judgmental. 72% of those people considered that friend hypocritical. And 25% of the people polled could not think of one positive contribution made by Christianity in recent years. So obviously these numbers could be skewed, right? There could be, they could have polled 1,000 people who had all been burned in a relationship, or maybe they woke up on the wrong side of the bed. But I will tell you that even though this could be somewhat subjective, the numbers are very telling for us as believers. We're not always seen in the best light. We're rapidly losing a battle. I say it all the time from the pulpit. I feel like we're majoring on minors so often rather than really keeping the first things first. Are we held in the light that we should be? And so what I want to just encourage you today is to think about the early church. In Acts chapter 5, it talks about the early church and what they were all about and what they did within their community of people. And there was these 3 words out of Acts chapter 5 and verse 12 and 13 where it said all the disciples were held in high regard. That is what I want people to say about me, not for my own benefit. Because see, I really believe this, that how you're perceived directly impacts how your message is received. I'll say that again. How you are perceived directly impacts how your message is received. And so I think that sometimes we find ourselves missing the point. And if Jesus, the Son of God, was actually concerned about people that did not know them, asking his disciples, hey, who do people say I am? Why? Because he had a message that he was giving out to the world. And so I think maybe we might all need to take a deep breath today. Maybe put the car in neutral for a moment. Yeah, do a bit of introspection think about how we're perceived as a Christian. You carry the name Christian on your back, on your heart. And so it is important today to not be a people pleaser. My goodness, that would be the very last thing that I could ever want or ask. No way. Let your yes be yes, your no, no. Let yourself be black or white. But I will tell you this, that you are to be known as a Christian first. How are you perceived? It directly impacts the message that you carry. I love you guys. I hope that you are having a great week on this week after Easter. We've got a lot of information coming about launching our Serve in Place. There's a lot of people behind the scenes working on this that we're launching on Saturday. I love you with all my heart. I hope you have a wonderful day.